Hello, this is the rear review of the Care Tools 12-ounce claw hammer model 48,000 with steel construction and a purple rubber grip. Now I think this is an okay hammer. It has its benefits and drawbacks, and we're going to look at each and run some comparisons to some of the other hammers that might give you some points of interest for comparison. So first of all, the hammer is actually quite heavy. Now they tell you it's a 12-ounce hammer. Now I don't know about many of you, but I don't always remember what exactly 12 ounces feels like. I'm just used to whatever hammer I have at home and what is it going to feel like. So with this model, this one seems very heavy for me. For its size, it seemed much heavier than I was expecting. And if you think about it, it's because of the metal construction and the steel construction. It's probably very well constructed, at least according to the specs would have you believe that, and it's probably true, but it causes it to be top heavy for that reason, because look how much mass you have at the top compared to the slender neck and the base, right? So it's rather top heavy. So when I hold it in my hand, it's tipping forward. Right? So if I want to find out where the middle point is, this one is really top heavy. Now that could be a benefit. Like if you're hammering nails, right, you may not always want to be literally using your arm strength to pound things in. You're going to probably maybe lift the hammer and gently pop nails in using a lot of the weight and gravity of the hammer. Now I'm not an actual professional technician or a handyman, but I do a lot of my own handiwork around the house, and so I know what I would like around my house and for stuffing in my tool belt. Now I think an array of hammers is always useful, so you could have a variety for different purposes. Now being the nice steel hammers, so if I really needed to dig into something or pound really hard with a nice heavy hammer, this probably suits that job. But being off-centered in weight, for me, if I want to what I do is I'll toss it through a back loop in my jeans or in an actual tool belt, I might tend to think of something like a wooden handle, which slides easily because there's no physical grip in that. So these guys here, slide really easily in your hands and are pretty quick and easy to work with. But of course, they're going to slip more easily. If you want a better firm grip, that's what your rubber is for. Now, I rather thought from the description that the rubber was going to be softer, right? So I thought that it was going to be really a grip material that really held on, but it actually is just seems like a regular grip. It's the same as my other hammer here. I don't really see a whole lot different, but that's probably how it's going to be durable and last for a while. You might look at it and say, well, maybe there are some slight imperfections that could be rounded out. I mean, this is really reasonable that you'd expect on anything, but if you're expecting a really supple grip, you'll probably want to file a few things off. Like there's a rough edge. You can barely see it right over here, down on this end down here. But I mean, no big deal, right? I mean, if you got a hammer, you probably have a file. But I look at what seems like a larger hammer sitting next to it. This hammer seems more comfortable. Now it's still more top heavy as any of these would be, except the longer handle lets me hold it at different points and feels like I get a little bit more control. But to be fair, it's, not sitting in my hand, and nothing will with a heavier head. When I go down to something like this, if I really want a lighter head, if I want to just use my hand to do what I need, then of course a smaller hammer is going to already do that for you. So compared to other hammers in my house here, I might tend to pick this up a little bit more for duties, just because the weight of it and the narrowness of the handle. So look how, for hammers that are about the same weight, look at the thicknesses of the handle. Now what this means is that you're going to have pressure point differences. If this is heavier than this one on the left will distribute the weight more as I cup it in my hand. So when I pick it up, it's going to distribute on a wider area, whereas this one, especially that it's an oval shape, right? I mean, to be fair, so is this, but it's still going to put most of its pressure on a smaller section. So when I put it in my hand, all the pressure is going against a very small section of my index finger because it's so top heavy. But that's just something you need to be aware of, and that's going to be true of any hammer. So if you want an all-metal hammer, which probably gives you different durability characteristics than a wooden hammer, it's just a trade-off that you're going to have to make. So yes, it's purple. Compare it to my other tools out there, but I don't really care about color myself. So obviously if you're looking at a purple hammer, purple is going to be good for you. So if you want a hammer to throw in a toolbox, it's a perfectly suitable hammer, but I rather think there are better general purpose hammers out there that I might go for something that's a little bit more comfortable that I can do for general tasks. And I rather think of this hammer more as a special purpose hammer, like when I really want something with some meat or something that I really need the durability characteristics of an all-metal shaft. That a wooden hammer I might not feel as comfortable with. That's what I would see this as. So I rate this as 3 stars because of the all-metal construction. I mean, this thing sounds extremely durable with the steel head and so on. But in terms of comfort, I would rate it a 2 star because I would probably almost always pick up one of these handles first. But this one, which you'd say, well, gee, what about between these two? Because there are uses for this one here. The thing is, this one's about half the weight. Maybe it's an 8 ounce or 6 ounce, but this one's a 12 ounce. And being smaller, the weight is the right proportion to the thickness of the handle versus the weight of the unit. That even though it's just as small, it's not nearly as much pressure as it was. Now honestly, the other extreme is a big handle with a very light hammer, and this one has really limited uses in my house. Because when I really need a hammer in something, I don't want to use entirely my arm's strength to hammer nails in. So I tend not to use this one too much either, unless I just need to do a little banging. So I mean, that's my review of it. The hammer's construction seems great. It's just think of whether this is the right weight for you and whether you want the durability of the all-metal shaft and whether or not the difference in the rubber and metal handle versus the wooden handles are best for you. Thank you for watching my review.